it's downhill from there, Will.
I want to clap at the end as well. So tech stuff is quite difficult first thing in the morning. When I used to work for government, we had a little kind of, I don't know, it's like a little toy, a squeaky pig. So if anyone said a jargony thing or annoying thing, or just kept talking like I'm doing now, you had permission to squeak the pig, and people would stop. Now we've not got a squeaky pig today, so we need to come up with something else. So maybe a polite cough, or shouting, or banging on a glass or something like that. If you don't understand, oh, like now, anything like that you don't understand because it's first thing in the morning, and I'll try and be as jargon-free as possible. So TechResort is, we're in it for love, not for money. It's a not-for-profit, and the idea is to grow Eastbourne's tech, digital and creative sector. There's a lot of really good companies which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But we listen, we learn, we try and do things quickly, and we just try and give everyone a leg up, because we think, like the chamber, you know, what's that rising tide metaphor, that's the word. Rising tide raises everybody. You know, I think it's going to benefit the whole town if we get this right. So we are a not-for-profit. We've got 6 directors. We're all from the industry. I've been working in the digital industry for 15 years. We listen to companies and we try and remove barriers to growth. So if you've got a problem with recruitment, you've got a problem with financing, we're very interested in talking to you afterwards. Any of those barriers, we try and take them away. And we run like a software company, so we don't book a conference room and have a meeting and talk about things forever. We actually say, right, there's a problem here we need to fix, we need to get out and do it. So let's go out and do it and see what happens. And hopefully that's refreshing. I think the difference we've made in a couple of years, but hopefully we'll see some of that in a second. And I've got a clicker, which is great. Here are some of the companies that we've been working with. Do you recognise any of these? A challenge. Do you recognise any of these logos?
Yeah.
Switchplane.
Yeah.
Dodo.
Zunu.
Great.
Friendly Digital.
That's me.
Anyone?
Cycler. Okay, so these sort of names are known a little bit. I'll tell you about what some of these companies do, because they're pretty special. And I might have a laser pointer. Okay, Zunu are amazing. They're on Giltridge Road. They've got 2 Victorian houses on Giltridge Road. And they software test for all sorts of people. So if you are a big company, often they work with big London agencies, and they've built a thing like, they built all the FIFA World Cup apps. If you want to make sure these things actually work, those are the guys to go to. And they do it all out of 2 Victorian offices on Giltridge Road. So their client roster, most of it's secret, but I got them to tell me 3 company names. They've done stuff with Bowden, Body Shop, Random House they've done stuff with, all sorts of MC Saatchi they've done stuff with, on Giltridge Road. Who knew that they're there? Cycler is one of my clients, so I'm not going to go on about them for very long. But they're a, what's the best way to describe them? Virtual plumbing. So let's say you've got an electronic digital techie system over here and one over here, and these things don't talk to each other. Cycler gives you the means of doing that really quickly. Now often, I don't know if you've ever been, it's called integration, that's a technical term for it. If you've ever tried to get one system to talk to another, you'll know what sort of nightmare that can be and how expensive it can be. These guys are really flying the flag, they're raising money at the moment. And you know, if you're in the tech investing game, they're a really good company to get into. In Eastbourne, it's fantastic. Centauri is the next one. They're a competitor to MailChimp. Have you ever heard of MailChimp? Mm-hmm. These guys are doing really well. They're not as big as MailChimp, they've all got 8 million customers. They've raised millions of pounds of funding. But they are holding their own. They're doing pretty well. Urban Industry, I'm sure you've heard of. Don't know if you've heard of. Human Made. How many people have got sites run on WordPress? A lot of people. So WordPress has got a VIP.
Techie.
Sorry. WordPress is a system that you can use to launch websites with, and I built Rebecca's website in WordPress. If you are a top WordPress agency, they've got a little VIP badge they give to the very best agencies. Human Made is one of those. There's only 2 of them in Europe. And the biz dev guy works in Callaghan, in Eastbourne. Do you see a bit of a trend here? BAM, amazing creative agency. working in Eastbourne. They've got clients all over the world. Switchblade, same. No Pork Pies. I love the names of these companies, don't you? No Pork Pies, they're great. They moved from Brighton to Eastbourne because they thought business prospects were better, quality of life was better, schools, they've got kids going to schools, better. They're doing some amazing stuff, so they're a company to watch. Network Factory, anyone heard of that? More on the infrastructure IT side, if you need Wi-Fi, if you need hardware to do things. They've just done Towns Wi-Fi, really good, based at Callaghan. Callaghan, we've talked about them already. Who doesn't know what Cohub is? Okay.
What is
Cohub, these guys here, co-working space in Eastbourne, right by the station. So if you're standing in the station car park and you look across to where the old Printworks was, the top floor of that is Cohub. And it's flexible, cheap space, mainly occupied by tech and digital companies. So a lot of these folks are based there. And that's where a lot of this action is at the moment, which is brilliant. Qology are based in Cohub. They do call centre systems. So, you know, if you're ever on the phone to British Gas or any call centre, odds on it'll be a system that they've built. Cube, as in call centre Cube. Now Screen's one of mine actually. It's just won a grant from the fund formerly known as the PFI fund. 100 grand to put up digital display screens offering what's on events and any kind of events around Eastbourne. So that's one to watch. I think that's really going places as well. And not just because I'm running it, it's a good idea. Okay. What does TechResort do for these companies? Can I get some water, please? Skills is the number one thing. Whenever you talk to these kind of companies, they say, we need a talented student, we need a program, we need this, we need that. And it turns out that's not an Eastbourne problem, that's a worldwide problem. So if you're ever looking to change careers, this is a good career to get into. UKES is a government agency. Sorry, it's a bit of an acronym. That basically said we need more talented kids. We need more people to get into this, particularly girls.
Yeah.
Particularly girls. So it's not girls saying we don't want to do it. Often it's parents saying, I don't think my girl's suitable for this. So if you've got a girl who wants to get into this stuff, it's a great time to get into it. And I've met talented people, men, women, throughout my career. I think some of the smarter ones are women. I think there's something about this industry that suits kind of more female approaches to it. So please do get into it.
One of my best engineers is women.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because you go back to the 60s and 70s, the start of the software industry. It's all women running it, not men.
Yeah.
So what happened? So we want to start redressing the balance there. Also, East Sussex County Council is quite into this as well because it sees kind of the knowledge economy, which is like a fancy word for this, you know, tech, digital and creative jobs. Sees this as an opportunity for Eastbourne to kind of book the trend that, you know, coastal communities supposedly are on the down, although I don't see it in this room, you know, we're all going places and doing things. But providing more tech, digital, creative jobs is a way to kind of rise the tide. I mean, they've not done a lot with this report, we're kind of doing more than they are. But it's helpful to know that they're thinking about it. Have I lost anyone? You all right? Is it interesting?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Stop me if it isn't. So there's a few tacks that TechResort is taking to make this happen. And if you go around the world and look at all the digital clusters that exist, now loads of fancy names, I don't want to bore you with that. One of the things most of the successful ones have really cracked is retention. It's keeping people there. No, not building a wall, Donald Trump style around the town. but basically making this, there's actually no real good reason to leave a place. Because, and I'll go through some of the reasons in a minute, you can probably get all the skills you want, you can get the finance you want, you can get the space that you want. It's the right kind of place for this sort of thing. You don't think actually if I move 20 minutes down the road to Brighton, it would be better there. That's a lie, it won't be. You know, it's about trying to crack those kind of issues, and that's what I'm going to show you in a few of these slides. So we're really active on skills development, on talent development in our kids. So this is our building, Kestrel House on the seafront. You're welcome, any of you, to come. just drop me a line and we'll arrange a tour. If you want to do a group thing with all the people here. Kids from 7, come along. Do you know what that is? 3D printer. A little one. We've now got a really fancy one, £5 grand one. They love this, absolutely love it. You can, technical terms, design some things, print them out. It's great. It's really good. We took this to the Best for Biz show and we did some peers, didn't we? It took ages. Ages and ages to build, but they were good and people really liked them. And the potential for this technology is amazing. So 3D printing, coding, banking, electronics, whatever you want to do, kids can do it. We've got some paid for courses. Most of this stuff's free, you can come for free, but we need to start washing our face, our government money's running out. So we're starting to do some paid for courses on top of the free ones that we do. It'd be lovely to see some of you adult learners as well. You can get into this when you're over the hill like me. So please come along. This guy is amazing. So Theo is the number one original TechResort student. So before TechResort even existed, his mum and my partner met at the school gate at Auckland, I think it was. And they said, oh, Theo's really smart, he's been trying to get some work experience. And Will, you do digital things, don't you? Could you give Theo some work experience? God, I've actually got a forward book. I haven't really got time to do this. But I met him, just absolute bright spark. He was coming up to he'd just gone through his GCSEs and he'd aced them all, he was going into A-levels. And he had an idea for, well, he's standing behind it in fact. Eastbourne has loads of events. It's very hard to know what's on. You can read the Herald, but it's not everything. Not everyone buys the Herald. Could you collect them all together and put them on TV screens around the town? How easy would that be? He built it all, he went away and built it all, and he's standing in front of probably the biggest screen we've had this running on. He ran, has anyone heard of CREST Awards? So the British Science Association runs a program called CREST. Any student can go into this stuff. And it's mainly sciencey stuff, it's test tubes and Bunsen burners and stuff like that. But he said, actually, I'm going to do a tech project with it. He went along, this is his assessment, and he'd just been given a gold award on the spot. He switched it on, he went, oh, that's a gold. And he went on to talk about it, how it works, all that sort of thing. Theo is a taxpayer now. He's 17. He's doing some work for me, but he's working for other people. He doesn't need us anymore. It's great. This is what it's about. Talked about skills. If you can help companies get the skills they need, they're going to grow. We've just done a survey of 30 companies in Eastbourne. A lot of them are saying we can't hire. Not being able to hire is stopping us growing. We really need to do something about it. How am I doing for time?
That was sort of, yeah.
Oh,
But
shall I keep going?
Another couple of minutes.
Okay, so funding is a problem. Funding is a problem. So if you're based in Brighton, there's an equity fund run by the local the LEP. What's the acronym for LEP? Local Enterprise Partnership. If you're in Eastbourne, in our LEP, there isn't one. Because they think that building roads and buildings is more important than skills. So that's something we could do something about. Companies like, this is Ian Pollard, he's the founder of Cycler. He's trying to raise money to grow. He's got a world-beating product. It's very hard to raise this kind of money, so we're doing things about that. And I won't go into detail because that's a talk in itself.
How much has he raised so far?
He's trying to get 300 grand and he's got about 120, but he's very close to the rest. But if you wanted to get into tech investing, this is a great place to start. If you go to that web address, or just drop me a line. We think in Eastbourne's future there's a tech fund, there's an equity investment fund, and we're starting to talk to high net worth individuals about that. If you're getting naught out your ISAs, for example, if you've got money under the mattress, a lot of people have, there's an opportunity here to give the next generation a leg up. Some of it doesn't work, a lot of it does, and the returns can be stellar. So we think there's something in this, and we'll maybe come back and talk about that when it's a bit more solid. Space is a really important thing. I don't know if you guys struggle for office space, but tech companies particularly do in the centre of Eastbourne. So we're doing a lot of work on that. Again, that's a talk in itself. The biggest single thing that I think Eastbourne has, it has talented kids, it's got some access to finance, it could do better, it's got some space, it could do better. But actually Eastbourne's really special. You know, we love living here. I moved here 5 years ago, and you know, I'm never going to move away. You heard it here first. I don't think there's any reason to move, because basically it's everything that you want here. It's a great place to live. And we don't talk about this enough. We don't talk about how special Eastbourne is. And I think we should start doing that more, and certainly TechResort does that. We make the point, you know, when we go and talk to London journalists, oh, this is Eastbourne, you know, it's not London, it's not Tech City, it's a, you know, a nice place by the seaside that's doing great work. So you need to keep, in your conversations, make that point. I'm way over the time. If you are a tech and digital company, please come and talk to us. If you're any kind of company, tell us about your IT needs. So we can't do anything about it now, we might well be able to do something about it in the future. But if you are a tech and IT company, go and take our survey. It's that web address. We're trying to size our sector. How big is it? How much has it grown? These are important numbers that we can say to government, look, we've actually had an effect. We've made a difference. We want to make more, give us more money, we can do more. So if you want to help us bang the drum, that's absolutely the best way to do it. I think I'm done.